Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are really cracking open a fascinating document. It's not just your average business plan.
No, definitely not.
It's more like a detailed blueprint, right? For creating this, well, hyper-scalable virtual financial empire. We're talking about the commission group consulting firm CG
hmm
and their vision to essentially systematize small businesses and dominate that market. They're aiming for a massive $5 billion virtual franchise model.
It's incredibly ambitious.
So our mission today, yours and mine, is to kind of peel back the layers on those big numbers.
hmm
We need to extract the core strategy. What is this proprietary framework they talk about?
Right? What's the secret sauce?
Exactly. How are they planning to actually pull off this, frankly, market disrupting vision, especially with, no physical storefronts?
And that context is so important here. CG, they were founded pretty recently, 2025, and they're not going after just any small business. No. Their target audience, it's specific. It's the already successful but kind of trapped entrepreneur, maybe professionals in finance or insurance doing well, or small business owners, franchisees maybe, who are already pulling in, say, 500K up to $5 million.
Okay, so people with revenue.
People with proven revenue, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the key is they lack scalable systems. They basically own really demanding jobs, not actual businesses that can run without them.
Yeah, that feeling of being trapped,
Yeah.
having money coming in but zero freedom, that resonates, I think, with so many founders.
It really does.
So CG says their main mission is turning these, well, overwhelmed entrepreneurs into empowered leaders. And they use this phrase, the franchise model methodology. What does that actually mean? Is it just jargon?
Well, it sounds a bit like jargon, but there's real structure there. The way CG uses franchise model methodology, it's fundamentally about standardizing everything but the humans.
Oh.
So the owner, the staff, they can focus on the high-value stuff. It really relies on, forced documentation, mandatory checklists, systematizing every single repetitive task until almost anyone can do it. Low skill, easily replicated. That's the foundation.
And that's where their secret sauce comes in?
That's where their proprietary 8-system framework comes in. Yeah.
Right.
And this framework is not just like a to-do list. It's designed as the architecture to systematize every single layer of the operation.
And the goal?
Three things, really. Scalability, obviously, profitability, and crucially, sellability. Because if the owner is the business, you can't sell it, right?
Yeah.
The systems are meant to solve that dependency problem.
Right, reducing owner dependency. That's the dream for this kind of business owner. But what's the actual, tangible impact? What do they promise if a client puts all 8 systems in place?
They promise a pretty significant boost in the business's value. Specifically, they aim for a 30-point-plus improvement on the Value Builder score.
Okay, value builder score. Remind us why that matters.
Well, it's a key metric that buyers and investors really look at. And, for someone maybe not tracking it day to day, a 30-point jump, that often translates into a huge increase, maybe 7 figures, in the actual sale price of, say, $1 million business. It really changes the game, makes it a sellable machine, not just a job.
So it's about creating a business that acts like a franchise, fundamentally, even if the owner doesn't plan to franchise it themselves.
Precisely.
How does that 8-system framework specifically enable that low-skill replication, the kind that real franchises, like McDonald's, depend on?
Yeah, that's where the sort of engineering comes in. They're very explicit. The model is designed as a low-skill replication prototype. They actually want their clients, once systematized, to hit 93% unit profitability.
93%.
Yeah, which mirrors, the absolute top-performing, most documented franchise systems out there.
Yeah.
The systems basically force that level of discipline.
Okay, let's dig into that a bit. Can you give us an example, maybe walk through 1 or 2 of those 8 systems, show how they're really built for this scale, not just generic advice?
Absolutely. Let's take their financial management system. This isn't just about looking at your P&L.
Right.
It specifically includes templates built for franchising, things like calculating and setting aside franchise royalties, standardized budgeting templates you could use across multiple units. It shows their thinking expansion from day one.
Even for a single business owner?
Even for a single owner.
Yeah.
And the system, it integrates with tools like QuickBooks to automate a lot of the compliance and reporting. Makes it transparent, makes it replicable.
That is specific. Okay, what about the people side? That's often the biggest hurdle to scaling, isn't it? Finding and managing people.
Definitely. That falls under their people development system. And they make a direct comparison here. They call it a Hamburger University-style academy.
Huh, okay. Like McDonald's training.
Exactly. The point isn't to hire super specialized, expensive experts. It's to engineer the workflow so that standardized training, Rapid digital certification lets lower skill entry staff perform complex tasks reliably.
So standardized hiring scripts, process maps.
Documented process maps, digital certifications,
Hmm.
all replacing the need for, tons of hands-on managerial oversight. It's like the old Ford production line or McDonald's Speedy system, but applied to coaching and consulting staff.
Okay, it's clear they're selling a big transformation, backed by some serious process engineering. Let's talk about how they deliver this and what it costs. If the result is that valuable guaranteeing 25–40% revenue growth, how does that work?
Right, the delivery is absolutely key to their whole financial model. It's all done virtually. Zoom calls,
No travel, no offices needed for delivery.
none. And the pricing reflects that promised ROI. They have a 6-month foundation package that's $10,000. Covers the basic systems. Then there's the full 12-month executive mastery package that's $18,000, and it covers all 8 systems.
Okay, but guaranteeing 25–40% revenue growth. That's a bold claim in consulting, almost unheard of.
It is bold.
Where's the risk? I mean, what happens if a client doesn't hit that? How can they be so confident?
Well, the guarantee, they say, is rooted in the methodology itself, the standardization that just eliminates bottlenecks.
Yeah.
If you standardize leads, sales, delivery, growth becomes more statistically predictable.
Hmm.
But you're right, it's a big promise. Their confidence, though, is maybe best reflected in their retention numbers.
Ah, okay. What are they projecting?
They project a 95% client retention rate.
Wow, 95%. That's way above the industry average, which is often what, maybe 60%?
Yes, significantly higher. And if
Wow.
they're actually hitting that kind of retention, keeping clients that happy, then that high-ticket price starts to make a lot more sense. It becomes self-justifying.
Right. Happy clients who are seeing results stay and pay.
Exactly. And that kind of consistent performance, predictable revenue, it's essential fuel for what they're planning next because they are entering a market that's already booming.
The business coaching market.
Yeah, globally, it was valued around $5.34 billion in 2025, projected to hit over $8.4 billion by 2030. So they're jumping into a fast-moving stream.
Okay, market growth is there. But their ambition, it seems to go way beyond just riding the wave. This isn't just building another successful firm. It feels like they want market control.
Oh, absolutely.
Their stated goal, #1 franchise model coaching franchise by 2040.
It's a huge goal. And they put milestones against it. Over 20 years, they're aiming for 5,000 franchises,
5,000.
generating $5 billion in system-wide revenue across all those franchises.
5,000 units. That puts them up there with the global giants, doesn't it? They must be modeling this on someone.
They are. The documents explicitly compare the ambition to McDonald's, the ultimate scalable prototype.
Right. McDonald's has what, 40,000 plus units? Billions in sales?
Over $25 billion system-wide. So CG is clearly applying that same kind of thinking, hyper-duplicable, low-skill, high-system standardization, but to a purely virtual service.
But wait, McDonald's success is also famously tied to real estate, right? Their whole model involves land ownership. CG has none of that. Are they just cutting out the biggest cost, or does that create other issues?
They are absolutely cutting out that massive capital expense. No leases, no build-outs, no local physical headaches. That's fundamental to their margin strategy and how they plan to scale so fast.
Okay. And the franchising itself, when does that kick in?
They plan to start franchising around year 5, once they feel the corporate-run prototype is really perfected.
And what's the cost for a franchisee?
The initial buy-in fee is projected at $50,000. $50,000.
Mm.
But here's the kicker. They project the franchise recoups that fee in just 6 months.
6 months? How?
Because the system supposedly provides the leads and the high-ticket service delivery model right out of the box. After recouping the fee, the franchisor takes a 5 to 10% royalty.
If they pull off that scale, 5,000 units paying royalties. The financial leverage is incredible. They're aiming for a $1 billion plus valuation by year 20.
That's the target.
But to get that kind of valuation, especially with no physical assets on the books, you need insane profit margins. Which brings us back to the financial edge of this virtual model.
It's the absolute core of the story. Let's look at the franchisor, the main corporate entity. By year 20, revenue projected at $18.2 million. Net profit, nearly $14.6 million.
Whoa. Okay, that profit level, what's driving that? What's the key financial metric?
It's the projected 80% net margin at scale. 80%.
80.
Yeah. They start strong, maybe 50% margin in year 1, but expenses are projected to drop way down to just 20% of revenue once they hit scale.
And that's purely because it's virtual.
Directly tied to virtual delivery. Compare that to the general consulting industry average margin, which is maybe 46% because of travel, overhead, offices.
Right.
CG targets 90% gross margins because the cost of delivering an already built digital coaching system is tiny. Very low variable cost.
So let's go back to that McDonald's comparison. Famous for efficiency, but their unit margins are nothing like this.
Nothing like it. A traditional McDonald's unit, brick and mortar, might run 15, maybe 20% margin.
Okay.
Because CG is purely virtual, uses high automation, low variable costs, they're targeting 70 to 80% margins at the franchise unit level.
70 to 80% for the franchisee.
That's the projection. They see a unit doing maybe $800,000 in revenue and netting $500,000 profit. That's possible because the main input is just standardized certified people using efficient digital tools.
And then the franchisor gets rich off the royalties.
That's where the real wealth builds for corporate. By year 20, just the royalties from franchisees are projected to bring in over $50 million a year. And those royalties themselves, they run at about a 90% margin for the franchisor, almost pure profit.
Just digital recurring revenue. Wow.
It's basically a capital-efficient machine built on digital assets, and maybe the most surprising part of the financials, how it starts.
How so?
This whole thing is bootstrapped. It started with a $50,000 personal seed investment. They project being self-sustaining, hitting break-even in month 3.
So no big VC rounds needed early on.
Apparently not. That keeps control tight and profitability high from the get-go.
Okay, so let's try to pull this all together. It seems like the commission group has basically married two powerful ideas. A really valuable systematized consulting product, those 8 systems, the guaranteed ROI for clients.
Right, the high-value promise.
With this super efficient virtual-first franchise model. And it's that combo, the high-value delivery combined with minimal costs, that lets them project those incredible 80% corporate margins and plan this massive scale without the usual capital drag.
That's it exactly. They're betting that the system, the standardization, can effectively replace most of the physical infrastructure and maybe even some of the traditional management layers.
Which leaves us with a really interesting final thought for you, the listener, to consider. The plan mentions using AI tools, things like Apollo, Clay for automating workflows, lead generation, making it all very plug and play.
The automation piece is key.
So if the system becomes that automated, that perfect, how does that change the balance? You're offering this high-ticket, supposedly high-touch, personalized coaching, but it relies on these highly automated digital systems, their version of the Speedy system for coaching. Does that fundamentally change what a franchise service even is? If automation does 90% of the work, how much human coaching is really needed to justify the value? Something to think about.